Let me ask you something uncomfortable. Right now, someone is influencing your decisions, and you have absolutely no idea it's happening. The words they choose, the timing of their request, the way they frame what they say to you, it's all deliberate. And if you don't understand how this works, you will always be the one being played, never the one in control. Today, we're going to change that. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to break down the most powerful psychological principles of influence and persuasion, things that top negotiators, elite salespeople, and even the most charismatic leaders use every single day. These ideas could change the way you communicate forever. But here's my warning to you. This is powerful knowledge, and like any powerful thing, it is only as good or bad as the person using it. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will see the world and every conversation in it completely differently. Let's begin. You know what most people get completely wrong about influence? They think it's about being loud, being aggressive, forcing their will on someone. But that is not influence. That is desperation. Real influence, the kind that works silently, consistently, and powerfully, is built on something far more sophisticated, an understanding of how the human mind actually works. This topic matters to you right now, whether you realize it or not, because think about the last time you didn't get that raise you deserved, or the time your brilliant idea got ignored in a meeting, or the time someone else, with half your talent, got the promotion, the client, or the respect you were working toward. The difference between them and you was not intelligence. It was not effort. It was communication and influence. Here's the biggest mistake most people make. They believe that if they are honest, hardworking, and good at their job, the world will automatically reward them. But reality doesn't work that way. The world rewards the people who know how to connect with other people who understand psychology, people who know when to push and when to pull back, people who understand that every human interaction is, at its core, a negotiation. That's what we're exploring today, and I promise, by the end, you will have a completely different toolkit for life. Key: people don't react to reality. They react to their perception of reality. Let me tell you a story. There were two salespeople at the same company, both selling the exact same product, same price, same quality, same target market. After 6 months, one had sold 3 times more than the other. The manager called them both in and asked what made the difference. The first salesperson said, "I focused on the product. I learned every feature. I gave detailed presentations." The second salesperson smiled and said something that changed everyone in that room. "I didn't sell the product. I made people feel something about themselves when they imagined owning it." That is the first and most foundational principle of influence. Perception beats reality every single time. People do not make decisions based on facts alone. They make decisions based on how facts make them feel. And that distinction between logic and emotion is everything. Think about it this way. When you walk into an Apple store, there are no complicated brochures. There's no technical jargon on the walls. There are clean white tables, beautiful lighting, and the products are just sitting there, waiting for you to touch them. They make you feel like the product is already yours. They make you feel smarter, cooler, and more creative just by being in the space. That is engineered perception, and it works on almost everyone. Now, here's the uncomfortable part. You've been on the receiving end of this your whole life, but starting right now, you can learn to be on the other side. The common mistake people make. Most people try to convince others with logic. They dump information, they share statistics, they list features, and then they wonder why no one is moved. The truth, logic makes people think, emotion makes people act. If you want someone to say yes to you, whether it's in business, in relationships, or in any negotiation, you must answer one question in their mind before they even consciously ask it. What does this mean for me, and how does it make me feel? The practical action step. Before your next important conversation, whether it's a job interview, a sales pitch, or even a difficult personal conversation, ask yourself this. What emotion do I want this person to feel by the end of our exchange? Design your words, your tone, and your body language around that emotion. Don't just deliver information, deliver an experience. Because people forget what you said, they almost never forget how you made them feel. Key: influence without trust is like building a house on sand. Imagine you're walking down a street and a complete stranger walks up to you and says, "Give me $50. I promise I'll give you $100 back next week." What do? You walk away, maybe faster than normal. Now imagine it's your closest friend who says the exact same words. You probably reach into your pocket without thinking twice. Same request, same words, completely different result. The only difference? Trust. This is the single most important currency in human interaction. More valuable than money, more powerful than authority, and more durable than intelligence. Trust is what turns a stranger into an ally, a prospect into a customer, and a casual acquaintance into someone who would go to bat for you. But here's where most people mess up. They try to build trust fast. They share too much too soon, they overpromise, they try to seem important, and the moment you try to appear trustworthy instead of being trustworthy, people feel it. Here's a secret most people never learn. The fastest way to build trust is not to try to impress someone, it's to make them feel genuinely understood. The story of the master negotiator. There was a legendary hostage negotiator, one of the best in the world, and people always asked him what his secret was. They expected some tactical genius, some master manipulation technique. His answer shocked them. He said, "I listen. I really listen. Not to respond, not to evaluate. I listen to understand. And when people feel truly understood, they open up, they cooperate, they trust." This is one of the most profound and underused tools of influence. When you walk into a room and immediately start talking about yourself, your product, your idea, your plan, you are building walls, not bridges. But when you walk into a room and your first question is genuine curiosity about the other person, when you reflect back what they say, when you make them feel heard, you become magnetic. People are drawn to people who make them significant. Connecting to your career and money. Think about the most successful people in your industry. Are they always the smartest? Not necessarily. Are they always the hardest workers? Sometimes. But almost without exception, they are the most trusted. Clients don't give contracts to the cheapest option. They give contracts to the person they trust most. Managers don't promote the most technically skilled employee. They promote the one they believe in. Trust is the engine underneath every career breakthrough. Your action step for this idea. In your next conversation, practice what I call the 70-30 rule. Listen 70% of the time, speak 30% of the time. And when you do speak, reflect back what you heard before adding your own thoughts. Watch how people respond to you differently, almost immediately. Key: why smart people say yes to things they never intended to. Here's something that might make you uncomfortable. Right now, today, you are being influenced by forces you are not aware of. The color of a website button, the way a restaurant menu is laid out, the exact words a salesperson uses, the order in which someone presents their arguments to you. None of this is accidental. There is a deeply studied science behind why human beings comply, why they say yes when part of them wants to say no, why they follow to followed even when they know better, why they let someone else make decisions they should be making themselves. And when you understand this science, not to abuse it, but to recognize it, you become almost unmanipulatable. And at the same time, you become far more effective at influencing others ethically. The psychological insight, social proof. Here's one of the most powerful forces driving human behavior. We look to others to decide what is correct. It's called social proof, and it runs deeper than you think. When you walk past a restaurant that has a line of people waiting outside, your brain doesn't think, waste of time. Your brain thinks, must be good. When a book has 10,000 reviews, you're more likely to trust it. When everyone around you in a meeting nods, you're more likely to nod too, even if you had doubts a moment before. This isn't weakness. This is ancient wiring. Humans are tribal creatures. We survived by following the group. Our brains are literally built to look for social signals before acting. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The most skilled manipulators use this against you every day. Knowing this is the first step to protecting yourself. What separates winners from average people? Average people react to social proof unconsciously. They follow the crowd without questioning it. They buy things because everyone is buying it. They abandon their own instincts because the room seems to disagree. Winners, the people who truly succeed, they understand social proof as a tool. They create momentum around their ideas. They gather allies before presenting a proposal. They engineer consensus rather than hoping it appears. There's a massive difference between the person who says, "I have this great idea, please approve it," and the person who, before the meeting, has already spoken to 3 key stakeholders, incorporated their feedback, and walks in with existing support. Same idea, completely different outcome. The uncomfortable truth. Here it is, the thing most people don't want to hear. Your ideas, your talent.
We need to talk about something that most summaries of this topic completely skip over. Because here's what happens when people learn about influence and persuasion. Some of them, not all, but some, start to use it in the wrong direction. They start using it to exploit, to deceive, to control people against their own interests. And this is where the entire field gets a dark reputation. There are people in the world who are very, very good at psychological manipulation. They understand your insecurities and they use them against you. They understand your desires and they weaponize them. They understand your need for belonging and they use it to trap you. We have all met someone like this, and if you haven't realized it yet, then pay closer attention. How people misuse the concept of influence. The most common misuse is this: using urgency and fear to force a decision. This offer expires in an hour. Everyone else is already doing this. If you don't act now, you'll regret it forever. These are manipulation tactics designed to bypass your rational thinking and force you into an emotionally driven, fast decision, which almost always benefits the other person and not you. Another misuse, love bombing. This is when someone overwhelms you with attention, affection, flattery, and generosity, not because they genuinely care, but because they are building a debt. They are creating a feeling of obligation in you, so that when they finally ask for something, and they will, you feel compelled to say yes. If someone has made you feel unusually special unusually quickly, ask yourself, what are they setting up for later? The correct way to apply this knowledge. Ethical influence is influence that benefits both parties. That is the line. When you use your understanding of psychology to communicate your genuine value, to build real trust, to create authentic connection, you are not manipulating anyone. You are being effective. When you use psychological techniques to deceive, pressure, or exploit, you have crossed a line that always comes back to you, always. The most influential people in the world, the truly great ones, they don't need to trick anyone because their influence is built on real relationships, genuine value, and earned trust. That kind of influence doesn't expire when the trick is discovered. It grows over time. Your defense toolkit. When you feel unusually pressured to make a fast decision, slow down. When someone makes you feel unusually obligated, examine why. When an offer seems too good and the urgency feels manufactured, step back. Your discomfort in those moments is data. It is your psychology telling you that something is off. Learn to listen to it. Diary Entry 1. Your 1-week blueprint to apply everything you've learned. Knowledge is useless without execution, so here is your 7-day plan. Simple, practical, and powerful. Day 1, Awareness Day. For the entire day, pay attention to how you are being influenced. Watch advertisements. Notice how products are presented to you. Pay attention to the emotional triggers being used in conversations around you. Don't react differently, just observe. Awareness is the foundation of everything. Day 2, the listening experiment. In every significant conversation today, use the 70-30 rule. Listen more than you speak. Reflect back what people say before adding your own perspective. At the end of the day, write down how people responded to you differently. Day 3, emotion-first communication. Before a key conversation or message today, ask yourself, what emotion do I want to create in this person? Design your communication around that emotion, not just information. Day 4, trust audit. Think about the 5 most important relationships in your life, personal or professional. For each one, ask honestly, does this person fully trust me? And do I fully trust them? Identify one specific action you can take to deepen trust in one of those relationships. Day 5, social proof in action. Think of one idea, project, or goal you've been struggling to get support for. Identify 2 or 3 people who could be your early allies. Have one conversation today, not to sell the idea, but to genuinely get their input. Begin building momentum before you need it. Day 6, defense practice. Today, whenever you feel any kind of pressure, in a conversation, an ad, a request, pause. Ask yourself, is this pressure genuine, or is someone engineering a decision for me? Practice making deliberate, unhurried choices. Day 7, integration day. Review your week. What changed? What felt different? Which conversations went better? Where did you catch yourself being influenced? Write it down. Then set one habit, just one, that you will carry forward permanently. Because lasting change doesn't come from a week of effort. It comes from one small habit repeated every single day. Insight 13, the last lesson and the most important one. I want to leave you with something that goes beyond tactics and techniques. Here is the deepest truth about influence, persuasion, and human psychology. The most powerful person in any room is not the loudest. It is not the most aggressive. It is not the one with the most credentials on their resume. The most powerful person is the one who is most self-aware. Because here's what no one tells you. All of these techniques, perception, trust, social proof, emotional intelligence, they work on you just as much as on anyone else. The people who misuse influence, most of the time they are themselves being manipulated by their own unexamined desires, their need for control, their fear of being powerless, their own insecurities dressed up as strategy. The person who is truly free, truly powerful, is the one who understands their own psychology deeply enough that they cannot easily be manipulated, and who uses their understanding of others not to exploit, but to connect, to serve, and to lead. I want you to think about one person in your life right now, someone you've been struggling to communicate with, someone you feel doesn't hear you, someone with whom the relationship hasn't been what you wanted. What if the problem isn't what you're saying, but how you're making them feel? What if one small shift in your approach, your timing, your empathy could change everything? That possibility exists for you, right now, today. You don't have to be louder. You don't have to be more aggressive. You just have to be more conscious, more intentional, more human. Because at the end of the day, influence is not about winning. It's about connecting. And connection, done right, changes everything. All right, that is a wrap on today's video. And if you made it this far, I want you to know something. You are already ahead of 90% of people, because most people will hear about these ideas and never act on them. But you watched until the very end. That tells me you are serious about growth. So here's what I want you to do right now. First, hit that subscribe button. We drop videos every week on psychology, mindset, success principles, and the kind of ideas that actually change your life. Second, give this video a like if it gave you even one new perspective today. It takes 2 seconds and it helps more people find this content. Third, drop a comment below and tell me, what was your single biggest takeaway from today's video? Was it the power of perception, the science of trust, the defense against manipulation? Tell me. I personally read every single comment. This is your moment. Go out and apply it. I'll see you in the next one.